Hello, everyone. Kate Celisti here, and you are watching my YouTube channel, Kinship with Animals. Welcome, welcome. For the next little while, I am going to be doing a little bit of a more homemade video for you because Marcus and I are in the process of moving. So our little studio is getting all packed up. So I want to welcome you, if this is your first time, to my YouTube channel and invite you to please watch my other videos. And I would like you, oh crap, stop. Hi, I'm Kate Celisti. Welcome to my YouTube channel, A Kinship with Animals. We are going to be doing a little more homemade videos, if you will, a little more casual videos, because Marcus and I are in the process of moving. And so we've had to pack up our studio. So I would like to share some different stories. I am, as many of you already know, an animal communicator who's been doing this work for over 30 years. And I work not only with people's beloved companion animals, but also with the wild ones, bringing you messages of hope and creativity and collaboration from the wild animals who very much want to help us protect our world and all the beings in it. So today I wish to share with you a story about a dog who reincarnated in a new puppy body. The name of the dog is Luke. He was a beautiful golden retriever, and sadly, he died at only age 7. And Luke was a very special boy, as so many of our beloved dogs are. Luke had an amazing relationship with the neighborhood dogs. They would all play together. They would kind of visit each other's houses, just like neighborhood kids. And they would, he would go over for a play date at so and so's house, and somebody else would come to his house, and it was just a wonderful neighborhood of dog friends. So Luke was terribly, terribly missed when this happened. But his person, Jane, was determined to find out if Luke was willing to come back. So she contacted me, and I do a great deal of work with people's animals who have passed on, whether they're in the process of transitioning out of their bodies or they have transitioned into spirit and are there to communicate with the humans they love. And sometimes animals stay in spirit, and when they return, what they have taught me is they return because it is in the highest good of both their human beings and human families, as well as themselves. It needs to be an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for learning, an opportunity for healing, or something along those lines. And in Luke's case, it was really about picking up where he left off because his life was so cut short. So, so Jane asked me, is it possible for Luke to come back, and would he consider coming back to her and her family? So, through my ability as a telepathic communicator, we tuned into Luke, and beautiful Luke said he would love to come back because, again, his life was cut short, and he wanted to pick up where he left off because he and Jane did agility. He did some visiting in nursing homes. He was so beloved in the community, and he wanted that to continue. So Jane said, okay, I am going to research golden retriever breeders, because one of the most important things when we talk about inviting an animal back into a new puppy or kitten or foal body is that they come back to a healthy body. Here we had Luke, who passed away at 7, and there are many breeds that are more prone to diseases, things like cancer, and sadly Goldens are. And so we were determined, and Jane was determined, to find a healthy body for Luke. So she researched breeders, natural rearing breeders, who focus on the health and longevity of their puppies, as well as the parents of the puppies, in addition to temperament and beauty and all of that good stuff. So she found some amazing breeders, and the process of an animal returning in a new puppy body is a fascinating one. And one of the things that the animals have taught me about this process is that they want to, first of all, energetically connect to the prospective parents because they want to feel that their energy, their spirit, has a link, a connection, but also a synergistic blend with the energies of these parents. So what I suggested to Jane was that she give me the names of some potential parents, and we would check those with Luke in spirit to see who would be the best fit, so to speak. And once that was determined, Luke would ask permission of the mama dog to be his puppy. So this is also an extraordinary thing because in all my years of working with animals returning to new bodies, there's never been a mama dog or cat or horse who said no because they are thrilled that that one of their puppies for certain is going to a home where they'll be deeply loved and adored. So so Jane came to me with some potential parents after she had interviewed the breeder and found out what kind of food was fed, what kind of vaccines were given or not given, what kind of medicine was used. Was it herbal medicine, homeopathy? You know, what were all the ways these dogs were raised? And she decided on a couple of breeders, and so she brought these names of the mother and father dogs to me, and we checked with Luke. And Luke said absolutely he had picked a pair, and we'll call the mama Shelley and the father Bob, and that Shelley and Bob were the ideal parents. So the next thing for Jane to do was to let the breeder know that she definitely wanted a male puppy out of Shelley and Bob's litter. And then we were neat. So yes, of course, as I mentioned, Luke asked permission of Shelley, could he be her puppy? And she said absolutely yes. And then we waited until Shelley gave birth, and she had 4 baby girls and 2 baby boys. And as many breeders will often do, they want to choose the puppy for the person that is buying the puppy. Now, of course, this made Jane really nervous. What was going to happen if the breeder chose the wrong puppy for her? So once again, we checked in with Luke. And as many of you may know, that when breeders are showing pictures of their puppies, they'll put different colored collars on so everybody can identify. So the 2 boys, one had a red collar, one had a blue collar. And Luke told us that absolutely for sure the best body for him at the time, and again, he's just a young puppy, maybe, oh gosh, maybe only a week old. No, they had to be older because of course he was showing pictures. So they were older. And he said, I'm the puppy with the blue collar. So Jane said, fantastic, I'll let the breeder know. So she did, and she said, I would really like to have the puppy with the blue collar. And the breeder said, well, I think that'll work out. I'm going to keep one puppy for show, and I think there's no problem with that. So we were waiting for the puppies to be old enough to be adopted. But within that time, the breeder started to change her mind and decide that no, she wanted to keep the puppy with the blue collar, and she wanted the puppy with the red collar to go to Jane. So Jane called me in a panic and said, we're in trouble because the breeder wants to keep Luke and let me have the other puppy. And I don't know what to do. So I said to Luke, what do we do in this situation? And there are some different things that can happen here. But in this case, Luke said, don't worry. I will take care of it. So here's again another level of trust. And as the puppies were getting ready to be adopted, the breeder invited Jane to come up to meet the puppies. And again, she was still convinced she wanted to give Jane the puppy with the red collar. So Jane, with a little bit of concern and worry, went up to visit the puppies and get her puppy. So she came in the door, and she was immediately greeted by the puppy in the blue collar, who ran up to her, jumped on her, yapping and pick me up. And the breeder was watching all this. Meanwhile, the puppy in the red collar hid behind the breeder, wouldn't come out to meet Jane, would not come out to meet Jane at all, even when the breeder sort of said, go on, go. And the blue collar puppy was just in her lap and licking her face. And so the breeder, being a really good person, said, well, I guess it's very clear that your puppy is the puppy with the blue collar. And that's how Luke got to come home with Jane. Now, later, we asked Luke what happened between him and the red collar puppy. And he said, I told my brother, don't you go near my mother. Don't you even look at my mother. You stay away from her. Do you understand me? And his brother said, okay, okay. And that's how Luke made it crystal clear that he was Jane's puppy. Now that part is so wonderful all by itself, but when they came home, and this is one of the most wonderful and miraculous things that happened, for those of you who've listened to my other story about do pets reincarnate, and I told the story of a kitten named Andy, they always do something to confirm that they are who they were. So in this case, when Luke came home with Jane, he immediately went to the toy box and pulled out the toy that had been his favorite when he was in his former body, brought it right over to her and put it at her feet. Now, there were lots of toys in the toy box, but, she knew which one was his favorite toy. So for her, that brought her to tears and made her cry. But on that same day, an extraordinary thing happened. She went out to the back deck, and there were all the neighborhood dogs. They'd all come to meet the new puppy. So she looked at that, and she called to Luke, and she said, come here, baby, come on out. Now, normally, in most cases, a young puppy is going to be very subservient and a little cautious. I mean, here were all these neighborhood dogs of different sizes and different breeds, and there was this whole group there, and he'd never met other, this kind of group of dogs. I mean, he'd met other Goldens, of course, but here they were. Did he hesitate? Did he hold back? Did he hide behind Jane? Absolutely not. He went up and touched noses with each of the dogs, each of his old friends, tails wagging, everybody so happy. He greeted each of them, and then he came back and sat down by Jane. And there was just this sense, Jane said, of everybody was so happy to see him. But they understood, that he was just a little guy, and they would come and play another day. And they all just went home. And once again, it confirmed to her that it was her Luke back in this little rumbly tumbly, gorgeous little golden puppy. And indeed, he did some other things to prove that he is who he was. And that is another favorite story of mine about animals reincarnating to be with the people they love. If you've enjoyed this story, please consider joining my Harmony Pack, which is my membership community, where we share our visions of a future with animals in communication, but as well as our commitment to making the planet a better place, and by connecting with others who share their love of the earth, their love of the animals, and their desire to make a difference. You can visit my Harmony Pack at www.myharmonypack.com. And for more information on my private sessions, please visit my website, katesolisti.com. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.